This is the tragic story of how Toto's wife, Susie, became the first known casualty of the devil's way of winning souls by promising them the world in exchange. This tragedy unfolded as egos collided in a bonfire of vanities when, while raiding the most prestigious motorsport for profit, the most successful corporate raider inveigled the most successful team principal into sabotaging his most successful driver at the expense of his and his wife's own personal and professional legacy. When Toto and Susie arrived at Abu Dhabi in December 2021 for the eagerly anticipated finale to the most competitive F1 season in recent memory, they could not have foreseen that his moment of crowning glory would become their Waterloo, even though the writing was on the wall. This was because John Milton Malone was well renowned for his ruthlessness and ability to compromise people and institutions. He had made it clear that breaking the Mercedes dominance was one of his goals as he set his sights on acquiring F1, but Toto's ego could not have anticipated that he, his wife, and his team would not be able to overcome any challenges that John Milton could throw up for them. To date, we do not believe that Toto understood then that, by buying the FIA alongside F1, Milton had perfected his dastardly plan to ensure the failure of the all-conquering Mercedes team, on which his corporate strategy rested. On December 12, 2021, as the race entered its closing stages, with Toto's team and driver cruising to an 8th world record-breaking team and driver championship titles, an opportunity presented itself for the devil and his minions to rob Toto's champion of assured victory, but not the team. Incensed by the scandalous theft and, initially unable to celebrate the team's championship, Toto declared his intention to challenge the injustice. When their initial appeal was denied by the devil's FIA, Toto should have understood then the significance of Milton owning the FIA as well as F1, and, with the support of millions of fans and viewers, he threatened to go to a higher outside court. However, in the 5 days that followed, Toto and his wife would demonstrate to the whole world that the path to ruin is paved with gold. It is critical to remember that when Susie posted her message on the December 16th, 4 days after her husband had lodged his intention to take the FIA rejection to an outside court, that message went viral. Susie's message attempted to falsely represent that the theft had been down to one man's error, when that simply was and could not be true. After all, the so-called umpire's error had subsequently been rubber-stamped by the FIA and formed the basis for the further appeal by her husband. Many astute observers promptly noted that the tone of the message indicated that her husband was going to withdraw the appeal, and so he did. Putting the theft down to one man laid the false ground for withdrawing the appeal. Dropping the appeal made Toto and his wife complicit in the theft. We have expressed this view in several earlier videos, along with our opinion that they had dropped the appeal because they had possibly secured some concessions for themselves. Now it is a matter of public record that Susie became the inaugural head of the all-female F1 Academy in March 2023, some 15 months after she declared that Michael Massey was solely responsible for robbing Lewis. It was in November 2022, some 11 months after her blistering attack that preceded her husband's capitulation, that F1 announced the creation of the Academy. This announcement came some 3 months after Susie announced in August 2022 that she would be leaving her position as the CEO of the Formula E racing team that she part-owned. There is no publicly available information on the origins of this academy that consisted of 5 teams of 15 drivers, nor is there any record of anyone agitating for its creation, beyond the November 2022 announcement by F1. The 4 months that it took from the announcement of the creation to the inaugural race contrasts sharply with that of Formula E, for example. The E-Series, which was reportedly conceived in 2011 by a Spanish businessman and the then FIA president John Todt, whose last function was overseeing the Lewis Hamilton robbery, took some 36 months to host its inaugural race. The origin and evolution of Formula One are a matter of public record and too detailed for us to go into here, but suffice to say, it took decades to evolve from the European Motor Racing Championships and deliver the first Grand Prix in 1946. The F1 Academy, on the other hand, is moving at warp speed, going from one of its inaugural 7 events featuring as a support race for the F1 weekend in 2023, into all of its events being featured as supporting races in 2024. This, of course, raises the question of whether Susie could have developed such a close working relationship with F1 in such a relatively short space of time if her husband had not withdrawn his appeal. Critics of Susie's appointment have suggested that it was down to the Wolff influence. In Susie's defense, it can be argued that she has a well-documented passion for promoting female racing in motorsport, but this is how Milton gets you. Promoting female motorsport was the bait that was used to lure Susie, and by default her husband, into forging closer ties with F1, in lieu of a bitter litigation battle over the robbing of Lewis. John Milton Malone has a long history of nobbling regulators, elected officials and others, and it appears that Susie's vanity was used to prize her from the now famous embrace that she gave Lewis in a matter of 5 days or less. The evidence shows what Susie possibly got for compromising her support for Lewis. It remains to be seen if this was all it took for her husband as well, or he got something else. A chastened Toto is currently learning the true cost of dropping the appeal, as he sees all the assurances that were given to him about improved governance and other crap go to hell, while F1 continues breaking the rules in favor of Max with impunity. There's little the compromised Toto can do because he has already sold his soul, but the kicker for him will come when he discovers the extent to which Milton went to ensure the inexplicable technology and design failure that befell Mercedes in 2022. That lap 53 accident was an unexpected gift that gave Milton and his advocates the chance to rob Lewis, but not Mercedes. And if anyone thinks that the technology and design failures that befell Mercedes in the following year, when Milton's new rules that were designed to eliminate Mercedes' dominance came into effect, were by chance, that person does not understand Milton and how he works. Toto and his wife are sure learning fast, but will not be aware that their day of reckoning was inscribed on the day they withdrew their appeal.